Wonderful. Well, welcome to yet another not live stream, but premiere here on the Sacred Symbols Cardology channel with me, Helmer Rudolph. It's once again a great pleasure having a guest and a regular on this channel, and that is the lovely Karen Chabot of 52starcodes.org. And today, hello, well, first of all, hello, Karen.
Hello, happy to be here.
Yay, and happy to have you once again. Today we have decided to deviate from our normal deep dive rabbit hole excursions, and we are going to do a cardological analysis of the 47th President of the United States, Donald John Trump.
Yeah, we're going to give him a full kind of overview of his attributes, and then we'll look into the future of what we think may happen through two different lenses, because Helmar sees it his way and using his app, which is very insightful, and then I'll give my version.
Well, and in order to do this, what I quickly want to do is just switch over. And here, this is a section of the spread where you see the lines on with the labels on the right: Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, and is hinted at the three cards in the crown line. And obviously, so we have more lines underneath. This is our matrix, the spreads that sort of we are, well, that certainly I am accustomed to. This is the way I read them. And Donald Trump was born on June. No, he's in May. He's on June. He's June 14th. June 14th, 1946. So this year he turns 79.
Yes, he
Next
did.
year he's going to be at. He's 79. And if you look at the spread here to my right, you'll see that there is a. You see that there is a three of diamonds highlighted. And three of diamonds is Donald Trump's birth card. Because how do we arrive at that three of diamonds? Very simple. We take the day, which is 14, then we add 6 is 20, and then we add another 6. We add the month twice. So we come to 26. And then we deduct 26 from 55, and we arrive at the number 29. And if you take the stack of cards with the 52 cards in the natural order, starting with an Ace of Hearts and finishing off with a King of Spades, the 29th card is the Three of Diamonds. Okay, so you take the day, the month, and the month, you add them up, and the sum you subtract from 55. So 55 minus 26 equals 29, and the 29th card is the Three of Diamonds. So Donald Trump was born under the birth card of a Three of Diamonds. And because he is a Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, his Mercury card is his planetary ruler, or as Karen calls them, the internal card. And that card is, as you can see here, the Ace of Spades. So he's got a Three of Diamonds birth card and an Ace of Spades internal card or planetary ruling card. So those are his two most important personal significators. And Karen, do you want to chirp in and say something about the Three of Diamonds, or shall I just sort of tell a little bit about that?
It's up to you. I don't mind sharing. I have some things to say, but easy going about it. You want me to talk?
Yeah, let me give a quick rundown. So just because that relates to what we're seeing here, and then sort of I'll hand over to you. Okay, just a quickie. The Three of Diamonds is the Uranus card on the Mercury line. So there's a Uranus-Mercury conjunction for Donald as his life. And Mercury is all about mental. It's about communication. It's about quick changes. So also a little bit of unreliability here. And then here's the Uranus card on that Mercury line, and Uranus brings in sudden changes, brings in all that sort of that doesn't really fit in, that wants to rebel rouse, that wants to break things up. And also Uranus is for real estate. So Donald Trump, just by looking at the position, not even looking at the card, on Mercury, communication, and Uranus, changes and real estate. So what he's doing professionally is actually not a bad thing. And then if you add the three of diamonds to that, that is the card of financial variety and creativity, because the three of diamonds has come from the stability of the two of diamonds, which has come from the initiative, the creativity of the ace of diamonds. So now it's about varieties. No, we don't have two, but we have 2 + 1. And there now is a very intricate mind on the Mercury line dealing with values. Once again, I think, without sort of sucking too much from my thumb, that is a perfect description of Donald Trump. And on the negative side, the three of diamonds is the card that sort of worries of not having enough money. So it's all about like sort of coming from the two of diamonds, which is about deals, but now it's like having another project, having another project, having another project. So that man doesn't stand still. Interesting here is the Ace of Spades, which is his Mercury card and his internal card stroke planetary ruler. And the Ace of Spades is the card of secrets, the card of secret societies. It's the card of transformation. So add that Ace of Spades to that three of diamonds, and so you can get a good picture of what Donald Trump is all about. Because the Ace of Diamonds is the desire for wisdom. It's a suit of wisdom, and it's the aces have the desire, because that's the number one, with that creative, dynamic urge to create something. And here it's in the spade suit. So it's about lifestyle, it's about health, it's about spirituality, it's about work. And so he's taking initiative all the time. And it's very, very interesting to see that. And if we go through that sequence, he's got a 7 of hearts in Venus. And if you look at this cards, he's got all those cards, most of his cards are on the Venus line, and they're all, except for the 2 of hearts, which is his Pluto card, all odd cards. They're all odd cards. So there's a lot of change. It's not an easy card to have, the 3 of diamonds, and that is mainly because of the 7 of hearts in Venus, which talks of emotional losses. Then he's got a Jack of hearts as his Saturn card, and he's got his Pluto card as a 2 of hearts. That makes it, in terms of relationships for the 3 of hearts, usually quite difficult, because odd card and an odd card, and his lifelong transformation is to actually find his perfect mate. But there's the Jack of hearts in Saturn. That's where sort of the lessons come. That's where we have a lot to learn. And here is the card of the spiritual sacrifice, the Jack of hearts. And with the 7 of hearts in Venus, also not exactly easy. But I mean, he's almost 80 years old, so he will have learned quite a lot. His Mars card is the 7 of diamonds. That's where his aggression comes from, his dynamism, not only sort of with that 3 of diamonds birth card and that taking the initiative, but also under Mars. And the 7 of diamonds is the millionaire's card, because it's a card of spiritual values. So on the high side, that 7 of diamonds understands how to make money, and is pursuing this quite rather aggressively. In Jupiter, he's got a 5 of spades, and the 5 of spades is a very restless card. And keep that, or remember that 5 of spades. It's going to sort of visit us again. So the 5 of spades in Jupiter is his growth and his expansion. Once again, spade suit is Earth, is lifestyle, and is communication, is changing work, changing the place where you live. That's 5 of spades energy. Very restless, very creative energy, very changeable energy. This one we already had. Sort of, he will have to, learn a little bit about, spiritual sacrifice, emotional sacrifice. Once again, for 3 of diamonds, not an easy card to have that in Saturn. Then we've got a Uranus card, and there's 2 9s also. Once again, 7s and 9s are not easy for humans. They're not easy for people, because sevens are about losses and nines are about frustrations and disappointments. And he now is past his Uranus period, so he now is in a Nine of Spades period, and that's like a double death card. And Karen is going to tell us a little bit more about that. So, not that it means much. It's about endings, a lot of endings that he has to deal with when he goes from 78 to 91, and he is in that period right now. So in general, just to wrap this up, for a Three of Diamonds life path, not an easy path with all those odd cards. Lots of challenges in terms of relationships and emotions. And also with those 2 sevens and 2 nines, tricky, very tricky. But in terms of his profession, with the Three of Diamonds being on the Mercury line in the Uranus column, I think he has chosen the right job for that sort of, because he's basically elevated making those deals, because he's come out of the Two of Diamonds and he's gone into the Three of Diamonds. And that's a lot of variety, a lot of creativity, and a lot of strategic thought. That's three energy here for the Three of Diamonds. I'm not sure about his Ace of Spades. He's desiring wisdom. I think he falls a bit short on this, certainly sort of how he comes across to me, and I think to a lot of other people as well. Maybe also that Five of Spades in Jupiter, he doesn't have himself sort of like under control all the time. You know, it's one day he says this, the next day he says that, and it's his vocabulary, certainly as far as I'm concerned, I find rather limited for a man that age and in that position and with that background. But that's just me, and I'm handing over to Karen, and she may give her take on that.
Yeah, that's a different angle, but I liked your perspective. Brilliant. Good job. All of it was, true. All these cards are his life path, and these are the cards that make him who he is. So we all have a life path, and we all get these 7 cards, different ones, but we all get a life path of 7 cards in that order: Mercury, Venus, Mars, like that. It's just the way Helmar went through it. So what I want to point out is, well, come back to that spread. I'll stay with that spread that you had out there, and I can share my screen too if you want, but I'm going to point out that, first, before I go into the details of the research and the concepts and theories of this beautiful card system, which is really an ancient divination oracle or a mystic calendar, it's not just a random, tarot spread. This is very mathematical and scientific and truly galactic technology. So it's really exciting to, for me to keep learning more and more about it, because we've just tapped into this much of it and it's just huge. So we have so much more to learn. So first, I want to just explain how I feel about leaders, presidents, head honchos, those people that are voted into any office. I believe that these are people who embody the collective consciousness. So instead of pointing at a leader and finding his faults, my version of seeing leaders isn't about that. It's more about pointing back at, when you have one finger pointing at someone, you have 3 pointing back, looking at the consciousness of the people that actually voted him into office, so that we take accountability and we realize who we voted for, and then we stop the blame and the shame, and we stop actually being critical in any way, because we instead come back to ourselves and how did he get into office? Well, we voted for him, and is he good? Is he bad? I really don't have, I'm not a political type. I don't know him, and I don't believe anything I see in the news. So all I do is look at the stars, because they don't lie. The news does. And so I don't really, if I was to say I had um, an opinion, it would be skewed, because I've never had crackers in bed with Donald Trump. I don't know him. I never had lunch with him. I never went on a walk with him. I would need to know firsthand who he is and hear it straight from the horse's mouth before I listen to anything on the media. So I don't have an opinion, and I refuse to buy into any of it. Instead, I look at the technology, the galactic technology, and the way the stars are showing me why he's here, what's going to happen to him, and what are his traits, favorable and unfavorable. So yes, he wrote a book on financial creativity, and he is literally the card of financial creativity. So he is fully stepped into his dharma and his soul purpose. And yes, secret society is his internal card. That is true, but it's also revelational. It's a card of massive transformation. So he's here to change uh, how we see financial creativity and even all of finances. He may be that person that takes us from the dollar bill cash to digital, or the major transformation of how we do exchanges in using finances may change before he's out of office, and that is what he represents. So he's doing exactly what his birthday says he will do. Now, look at those two stargates. I call them stargates, that when you have two cards of the same color and the same number. So we have two red sevens and two black nines. These stargates are quite like eclipses, and their eclipses can open north or they can open south, depending on the planetary transits and other bits of confluence. We won't know if they open north or south until we look at exactly what is the question, and then I can find the confluence and try to guess. But eclipses are mostly outside of time, or I'll say 50% out of time. And when something is out of time, it means it's got a foot outside of this third dimension or fourth. What some people are in third, some people are in fourth here on Earth, but it's not in this density. So the if you think of it like a big wormhole, half of the wormhole is in some other density and the other half is here. So how do you predict that? It's hard because the way we do predictions is based on time. So we can only get it half right because of the physics of these stargates. So this red 7 stargate is the millionaire stargate. So when it opens north for him, he makes millions. Well, hello, he did. And if it opens south, he loses millions. So this is no, neutral, happy day in the merry-go-round. It's a full-blown, straight down roller coaster regarding money. And so it's eclipse-like. That's one. And now we go to the other eclipse-like uh, set of cards, which I call the Black Nine Stargate. And so he's got two eclipse-like stargates in his life path, which is pretty tough. So we have to respect a man that signed up to live a life with these stargates, because it's not an easy thing. It's not like riding the merry-go-round when you're born with this life path. It's like riding the zipper if you've ever been to the carnival, or the roller coaster that goes straight down. So 10 points for him signing up. This took courage to have two stargates in his life path. That Black Nine Stargate is really tough. It is a death stargate. It's a massive transformation where death is really birth, and all the secrets in between. So this is extremely intense, where it's about letting go and renewal, but through a death-like experience first. So kudos to him for an amazing life path and staying stable. And as a 3, he's very creative, and 3 is a very unstable number in general, because if you have 3 legs on a table and the wind blows, it's going to fall over. But if you have 4, it's going to be stable. So he's got a lot of odd cards in his deck, 3, 7s, and like Helmar said, the ace and the 9. So it's been hard for him to get a grip and remain stable. He's done it. Look at him. He's still alive and walking and kicking, and he's an amazing person that he was voted in. Hello, he got voted in. That says a lot for this man. Now, he was born on an eclipse. The day he was born, June 14th, whatever that year was. I think it was 36. So he was born on
46.
yeah. So that day there was, I think it was a lunar eclipse. And I want to do a sample eclipse reading on what may happen to Donald Trump during this eclipse season. We have our lunar eclipse starting on September 7th, and we have our solar eclipse. They're always 2 weeks apart, or mostly, on September 21st. And this September 21st, Stargate is literally on one of the Black 3 Stargates. There's only 18 Stargate days in a birth year, or in any calendar year. So it's interesting. We have sort of a double whammy eclipse happening this year, where we have a Stargate, that's the 3, double 3, Black 3s, and then we have the solar eclipse. And I'm going to pull up Trump's chart. Can I do that in my screen share?
Go for it.
Okay.
It's also interesting to say that Donald is born on the 14th. That numerologically makes him a 5. And the 5 is also very like vacillating, very changing. Always changing and very communicative. A friendly guy, but also very good for sales. That's the salesperson's card, the 5. So they're very good, sort of with their mind in order to sell things. So if you look at his cards, I think he's done the right thing, and he's coming out with us in that 9 of Spades area or placement in Neptune. You can see that he's busy tying things up. And I don't know, maybe because he knows something is coming to an end. Who knows? He's like so keen to on that nah, Nobel Peace Prize, because he's bringing things to an end there too. And today, I mean, sort of as we're recording this stream, he's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, so to bring the Ukraine war to an end. And so he's been very active with that, and obviously with his boisterous, in his boisterous manner, he's like the head honcho. He's making America great again, sort of bum 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 bum. But he's certainly very active, and compared to I think what the previous president has done, and he's very vocal about this. Okay, Karen, go
Will
and
you
share.
show cards? Because I'm going to do an overview, and it would be helpful if everybody could remember the main cards, because that's how we track. We're tracking and we're connecting the dots with these cards. So Trump is 3 of Diamonds, external card, what he shows to the world, his financial creative self. And then he's the Ace of Spades, which is his internal card. And that he doesn't necessarily show that to the world, but that's his true dharma. He's really here to change and make things new. And the Ace of Spades is about transformation, among other things. It's new beginnings. Then he has a decade ruling card of the 9 of Clubs. Okay, the decade, that's a fancy Latin word that means 10. So we find the decade when we do math and find the degree within the house. And I won't get into all the formulas, but it signifies in many cases the career of someone. So it doesn't always 100% stick with career. I've seen it actually reveal much more than career. So for Donald Trump, his decade, when we do all the measurements and get that decan, the 10 within his, where the sun was and what degree in the sign, when he was born, we get the 9 of Clubs. So those 3 cards represent Trump. So when I use any of those 3 cards and refer to them, I'm referring to one of those 3 cards that Trump embodies: the external, which is the 3 of Diamonds; the internal, which is the Ace of Spades; and then the decade ruling card, the 9 of Clubs. Okay, so can you show those cards so people can, so we can really get a tangible feel for what I'm talking about? Because I want you to remember these cards, because I'm going to show you the United States chart. It's not Trump's chart right off the bat, but the United States chart. And I want you to find Trump, his 3 cards. It's kind of a game. It's a fun game. Find his cards: 3 of Diamonds, Ace of Spades, 9 of Clubs, like Helmar has. Those are his 3 cards. Let's see how the United States chart, born July 4th, 1776, how does the United States chart perceive Donald Trump? How does he show up in the United States chart? Let's look. There it is.
There we
Okay.
go.
I opened and made all kinds of pink lines and circles. So this is the United States chart, and his United States was born on July 4th, which is a day of the Jack of Diamonds. The Jack of Diamonds is the financial whiz, often immature, often playful, often creative, like a child. That they can be cunning and clever and even deceitful. Children will get away with putting their hand in the cookie jar when they can. And those are the meanings of the Jack of Diamonds. And it has a royal flair, but it's not a king. So it's not like the United States is showing or manifesting wisdom of a king. I can see how we would be perceived by other countries as the Jack of Diamonds, right? Because the diamonds represent money and values, and then the Jack is, playful and I'd call them even an adolescent, and sometimes they get out of hand. Okay, so now we have the internal card of the United States, which is going to probably throw a lot of people who do this card system or even astrologers. I do not feel that the moon, this is my version, and you can feel free to keep your version. I'm not here to convert anybody, but the moon is the divine mother, and she is not selective about who she governs. But Uranus governs Cancer. So he was born in the sign of um, Cancer. So, sorry, United States was born in the sign of Cancer. The actual day of signing the Declaration was a Cancer day, and that Six of Spades is the internal card of the United States if Uranus governs that sign of Cancer, which I fully believe. I've done so much research and rectification. It makes complete sense. Now, the decanate ruling card is the Two of Spades. I don't have that shown here, but Hallmark can show you. We all know what Two of Spades looks like. That's the decanate ruling card of the United States. And we know, I just explained to you, it is the card that represents career, among other things. Whenever, I'm going to just give you a little background of one of the portals that lives in the earth template of this system is the Two of Spades and Six of Spades. And it is, I call it the blue hole. And it really is not even about the color. It's a catchy, it's how I first discovered it and what I called it with my students, and it stuck. So for lack of another way of calling this portal something else, it's blue. So it's the blue hole, the two and the six. Whenever a two and a six come together in any way, even in a license plate, even on a birthday, like say November 26th or February 26th, or whenever the 2-6 comes together, it creates a little bit of dysfunction, possibly delusion, possibly a delusion by drugs. A lot of D words are going to come up here, and even possibly unfair exchange of energy and instability, because portals are like wormholes half outside of time. So our country was founded on a Jack of Diamonds external card, which we show to the world and how the world will perceive us. But inside, in the infrastructure of the United States, unseen, sometimes seen, but mostly unseen, we have this 2-6. And think about it, big pharma, it's taken over. That's delusional, that's drugs, that's very much United States. And then drug cartel. We are the land of drug cartels, unfortunately, in the United States. So it's definitely, probably, I'd say, not definitely, because nothing's definite. It's an affliction. Okay, so our country has a slight affliction, we'll call it, and we're working with it. And it is a portal. So unstable. So what I want to say now is let's find Trump in the United States chart. Trump, remember his cards and how he is perceived in his birthday? 3 of diamonds, Ace of Spades, and the 9 of clubs. Let's look. So I have a couple more things I want to share, and I can pull that up as well. Maybe I should pull that up too. So I looked at the word assassination because all the letters in our alphabet, and every alphabet actually, have a number behind it. So we can convert letters to numbers. And then if we have numbers behind each card, which Helmar explained to you how he got the 3 of diamonds, you know, how every card has a solar value, or I call a star code value, and it is 29. So Trump has a star code value of 29. Anybody born on a 3 of diamonds would have a star code value of 29. So that 29 belongs to the card 3 of diamonds because of its order when we start with the Ace of Hearts and end with the King of Spades. Okay, so there's an order, and that's why we assign these numbers from 1 to 52. So a 3 of spades, 3 of diamonds is 29. Now I want to tell you, when I put the word assassination into a calculator that calculates the numbers, or the letters to the numbers, and then reduces it repeatedly until it's under 52, it comes out to the 4 of diamonds. So if you can remember 4 of diamonds, okay, keep that in the back of your head. I could show you the screen that I took a screenshot of the calculator so you could see the word. I capitalized assassination A, and then all of the other ones were lowercase because upper and lower cases have different values. Because you go from 1 to 26, you get the lowercase, and then 27 to 52, you get the uppercase values. So it's a 4 of diamonds in Helmar, showing the 4 of diamonds. Remember these cards, because we're going to connect all the dots. If you can remember these cards, then you can get the story once you connect the dots. You need the dots though. So we're going over assassination, 4 of diamonds, and now the word impeachment, capital I, MP, and all lowercase except for the I, comes to, guess what? 3 of diamonds. So not surprised that Trump was impeached twice, because he literally is the embodiment of the word impeachment. And I'm sorry that he was born. That must have been horrible for him to have chosen a birthday and be a president of the country and walk around with the frequency of impeachment. He was doomed to be impeached at least once, but he did twice. So now I'm going to show you the 4 of diamonds, how the 3 of diamonds shows up, how Trump's 3 cards, I told you the 3 of diamonds, Ace of Spades, and 9 of clubs all show up here. Now look at this.
But also, if I can just briefly jump in there, the way his life as a 3 of diamonds is structured, he makes himself the ideal target for that, for impeachment. That just the way that his energy, what he does, how he does it, basically living his life as a 3 of diamonds makes him a good target for criticism, and the impeachment is certainly a very severe form of criticism.
Okay, so we have the United States chart for 2025. Okay, this is the entire year of the United States birth cycle starting on July 4th. And each of these cycles, so ignore these cards over here and ignore these cards over here for now, and just focus on these. See these glyphs at the top here, these little, they're all in a row, they're square. These are all planetary glyphs, and they're representing 52-day cycles, 7 of them. There are 7 planets. You see the 7 glyphs there, and each of them represent 52 days, and 52 times 7 is 365. That's how we get a yearly
364
cycle.
plus the Joker.
Plus the Joker, yeah, just a ballpark. Okay, so now we're going to understand one thing about our country well, my country, Helmar, you're from Germany, right? So United States, Jack of Diamonds has a shadow card of the Jack of Clubs, right? Oh, it could be the mirror card, actually. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's the mirror card. And the shadow card's the 3 of Spades. So this year, our country has both in Venus, its shadow and its mirror. So every birthday is assigned 1 shadow and 1 mirror. And the mirror is, in some systems, it's all semantics. Some of them call it the second karma card, and the Jack of Clubs would be the first karma card. Doesn't matter. It's just semantics. But I call it the mirror card because it's not completely taking the life force out of that card that it is mirroring. It can reflect back at it. So, but there is a karmic cord there. And then the shadow card is, definitely siphoning energy in the direction away from, for example, the Jack of Diamonds. So it depletes the Jack of Diamonds, and whatever your shadow card is, whatever day you were born, that your shadow card will slowly deplete you, unless you figure it out, and there's remedial measures. But if you have no idea, it can deplete you. And it's just 1 card per birthday. So go figure, what are the odds that United States has its shadow and its mirror cards in Venus? Right here, I've circled it, and that's the glyph for Venus. And what does that mean? You say, well, let's go further. Underneath the Jack of Clubs is the 9-6. Remember I told you about the 2-6? The 2-6 is the blue hole, the blue portal. The 9-6 of spades, and actually any 9-6 at all. It doesn't matter if the spades, suits, or diamonds, could be anything. But the classic black hole is the spades. So it's in the black hole, and the black hole is more about disappearing. It's not about dysfunction, delusion, and unfair exchanges. It's actually about going MIA. It's also about secrets. It's about omissions, complete obscurity. So when I see that happen, something in our country this year, this birth year, not calendar year, is around Venus, whatever Venus is governing, which I'll explain in a minute, will go MIA. in a way, and maybe not as unfavorable as if it was in Saturn. It's in Venus, which is more of a favorable planet. So it softens up these shadow mirror cards just a smidge, but still very tricky. Okay, what are the odds? They're both together in Venus. It doesn't happen very often. And the Jack of Clubs is in the black hole. So Venus governs money. Venus governs many things: reproductive fluid, women, romance, fancy cars. Venus governs many things. Okay, it's I'm in this case going to say it's governing money, because and luxury money. Venus governs money in general. So Venus governs the luxury money. And we all want luxury money. We don't want just enough. We want a little extra. So Venus gives you the extra, and Jupiter will give you what, it just governs money and doesn't really have a definition, we'll say. So what I want to go down here and show you is the Six of Clubs is literally the upside down version of the Nine of Clubs. And does anyone remember why we are tracking the Nine of Clubs? Helmar put that card up. Why? It's Trump's decanate. Okay, yes. And if we turn it upside down, what happens to it? Nothing. That's why when you see it like this, it's Trump, but he's upside down. Okay, so the 6 and the 9 spin around like two fish chasing each other, and that's how you create. If you take the 6 and the 9, you put them sideways, you'll see that they just keep going like the yin and the yang, and that's how the portals just keep spinning, and that's how a black hole is created. So he has been turned upside down, and the karma card, in some systems they call it that. I call it the shadow card, and Helmar is displaying all of Trump's cards. These are his layers that define him. And we are multidimensional. We have way more than just 3 layers. These are his main layers, and we can always evolve too. So this is not a system that holds everybody hard and fast. It has lots of flex. But I'm going to stay with those 3 cards because it's very important. These are the 3 main cards. And if we look at the Queen of Hearts, that's the shadow card to the 9 of Clubs. So what does this say? If we look at the 6 of Clubs spun upside down, it's Trump, the 9 of Clubs. Why is it upside down? That's an affliction. Anything going upside down is afflicted, not good, unfavorable, unfortunately. And then the Queen of Hearts, usually she's the card of protection in general, but when we apply it to the card above it, which we usually do here, we get more information about the card above it. That is the shadow card to the upside down Trump. Okay, so that whole line, the Venus line, doesn't look favorable for Donald Trump, unfortunately. I say it unfortunately because I've got the bleeding heart. I'm compassionate. I don't want anyone to suffer. I don't care what they're doing. I have no opinion whether he's a good or bad president. I just care that he's a human child of God, and we want everyone to be happy. That's where I'm coming from.
But it's at the same time, sort of nothing is cast in stone, so there's always an upside and a downside to any kind of energetic influence. So just because there's a unfavorable influence now in Donald Trump's spread, doesn't mean that sort of it has to end in a catastrophe. Because obviously, if we are, as we are phrasing things, we are limiting ourselves. We've given the 9 and the 6 to karma, to endings, to death, etc., etc. But it could also be just a letting go of something and moving into a new something, ending a cycle. It doesn't mean that sort of so it has to be like a physical death. And as I said earlier on, sort of he's certainly ending things right now, big time, and he's making no qualms about this, and sort of like announcing this to the world that he is the one who has been ending the wars. I mean, sort of, have you ever seen any president ever, sort of like being on the news and bragging about the wars that he has ended?
Well, I don't listen.
And he, I mean, so, and he's obviously believing that, so other people have to have different opinions about this. But then again, that's what I'm saying. The 6s and 9s, they're about endings. They're about a reevaluation of things because you're getting ready for a higher level.
Yeah. This is the United States chart. So this is almost like the astral body of the United States, okay? If you can see a chart like that, it is the energy body, it is the hidden body, it is the collective consciousness. It's represented a thought form. And we now, looking into the chart of the astral body of the United States, can understand how its people are perceiving Trump. Okay. And if people are seeing someone upside down, that's not generally favorable. Okay. So they're not seeing Trump for who he is. And maybe that's because he isn't who he is, or maybe it's because he's done something he shouldn't have done. Doesn't matter. I'll let you all decide that. I'm giving you my perception of how our country's consciousness is perceiving Trump. He's upside down right now. I don't know. What could that mean? Many things. Is he going to be assassinated? Is he going to be impeached? Maybe. Is he someone that they didn't think they voted for? Wait, he's not the guy we voted for. He's someone else. Maybe that's their dialogue. Or is it that he is literally upside down himself? Maybe he's having, a hard time. Imagine being 80 and doing all this. I don't think I could do it at 80. I would rather be on the beach somewhere, use all this money. He doesn't need to be a president. I would just rather be pampered. And so, kudos to someone who's 80 years old who wants to take this on. So how is he feeling?
But the United States is as a Jack of Diamonds is the Pluto card to his Three of Diamonds. So his transformation, ego, death, that's what Pluto stands for. Transformation, ego, death is the United States. And if I can just sort of chirp something in here, sort of from my German perspective, the Jack of Diamonds is the salesperson. Jacks don't want to grow up. Jacks think they know everything, and Jacks think they can tell everybody. And with a diamond suit, it's about money. It's about values. I mean, for the United States, it's not so much about values. It's more about money. So the United States, like a bully, is going around the world and telling everybody how they have to live commercially, politically.
Yeah.
And how that is being perceived by others around the world, I think that's something that the United States, the population as a whole, can spend a minute or two thinking about how they are being perceived in the world. And Donald Trump being almost like the reverse Pluto to the United States is a prime example of how America is being perceived in the world. He knows everything. He knows that his way is either his way or the highway. It's all about making deals. And he lacks the emotional finesse, Seven of Hearts in Venus, Jack of Hearts in Saturn. He lacks the emotional finesse that is necessary, diplomacy that is necessary in order to bring people to the table. He's like hitting the world with tariffs.
Well, I don't necessarily want to go there, but you can. If that's how you feel, that I allow you to speak how you feel. I have no feeling left or right. I just see him as the embodiment of everybody in our country. So
no,
when you talk about him, it's really our country that is, it's every citizen needs to take accountability and not. Yeah, you can say whatever you want, and I respect your opinion because you have the right to feel it. I just can't add
no,
to
I
it.
just I
I don't have any, like
I
one
just
way or
I
the
just
other. I don't really know him. I haven't studied him. I haven't studied him, as far as gone into doing Google research and followed him around. I never met him. I never had lunch. My dad did meet him. I mean, I had a chance to meet him. I never did. He invited him to one of the CEO clubs to give a talk, I don't know, 20 years ago. Anyways, I just don't want to go into that part of it. I just like sticking with how we can interpret these cards, how to use these cards to best understand what's really happening, not what the media says. This is the real truth. What I'm giving you is Trump is being perceived as upside down. Take it from there. The world is your oyster at that point. I've just given you that much, and then you can, Helmar, come up with why he's being perceived as upside down. I don't know. I gave you some options why he's being perceived
no,
that way and what could it be, but I don't necessarily need to get into any criticizing or anything of it.
no, it's not. It's not so much a criticism because for me it's about understanding the natural evolution of things and how things are connected. And the cards beautifully display the connection between the United States as a whole and Donald Trump as an individual. And the United States, which is young, very young compared to other countries and other civilizations, is going through an evolutionary cycle as well. So the Jack of Diamonds, in his evolution, has to grow up and understand that he can't just go around and swinging weapons at all and sundry in the world and dictate the world how life needs to be lived. So they need to grow up as well. And this is exactly what is happening now in terms of, in my estimation, that they are being shown, like the bully on the schoolyard, they're being shown where there is a border, here and no more. So what they are doing is cause and effect. So there's a consequence to this, and the consequence that the United States is experiencing now, and Trump may be accelerating that process, is that now there's from a unipolar world, we're moving into a multipolar world, because now we've got BRICS, we've got Russia, we've got China, and China and Russia are not being bullied around. So the United States, through Donald Trump, is in a way meeting its maker and has to basically, I don't know how you say this in English, but they have to. I wish I could find that expression, but it's like they're not, they're growing up through the encounter of other political and economic systems that they find are adversaries to them. So they are growing up through the friction, that's a good word, through the friction that is created politically with Russia, economically with China, etc., etc. So this is beautiful to see this happening, to see basically the evolution of a country represented and shown in the cards at this specific point in time. And the important role Donald
Okay,
Trump
well,
is
I want to
playing
show you
here.
that before I jump over to Trump. So here we have the two cards. Well, Mars, he takes Mars. Okay, so what's Mars representing? It represents
Uh,
anger and war, and Trump is there in the United States. So he seems to be in his passion too. It's not always unfavorable. It's passion. People feel passionate about him one way or the other. We can say that and leave it at that, or we can say he's causing trouble. People feel and perceive him as causing trouble because that's what Mars does. Is Mars is a troublemaker. And we also look at Jupiter, the Four of Diamonds, and that's the card uh, of assassination, and it's with Trump's card underneath it. So we have assassination in Jupiter. Jupiter also governs um, dignitaries, leaders. It's a planet that governs gurus and those that are in charge. Okay, so when we see the card of assassination in Jupiter, and we don't even know what president we're looking at, we can know that this year, United States has an assassination card up. And what if it was in, Uranus? What if it was in Neptune? That doesn't matter so much. It's in its rightful place. If it's going to be an assassination of a leader, it's in Jupiter, which is where it should be if it's going to be an assassination of a leader, because Jupiter governs leaders. Okay, just connecting the dots there. So what are the odds? And then who, what, where is underneath it? It's the Ace of Spades, which is his internal self. And then if we look at the Nine of Diamonds above him, the Three of Diamonds is here. Nine of Diamonds above him is end of values, end of currency, end of money. It could be that he is going to herald a new currency. It could be that people are perceiving him as taking their money. I'm not sure how we could interpret that, but Nine of Diamonds is the end of currency and end of values, and it's all around Trump in this Mars Jupiter square that I'm pointing out. Now I'm going to point out the Six of Hearts, and I circled it in Saturn. It's the hardest time of anyone's cycle. It's compressive. It's this is the Saturn finger. It polices things. Very black and white. It's when we learn our biggest lessons during those 52 days. Each of us has it. The Six of Hearts is literally the gatekeeper of the black three stargate, because when you add the black threes up, we have one black three is 16, the other black three is a 42. And when we add those together and we subtract 52, we get a Six of Hearts. So the Six of Hearts oversees the black three stargate. That black three stargate is important because that is the day of our eclipse that's coming up solar eclipse, September 21st. So when we see the ruler or the gatekeeper of the Black 3 Stargate in Saturn in the United States, we know this eclipse that's coming up is extremely significant for our country, not just for, this is specifically for our country. So let me take this down now and show you the other. All right, so let me tell you about Donald Trump's eclipse. So this is called an eclipse reading. We go to the eclipse because the eclipse, the day of the eclipse, what happens on the day and that week, the 7 days surrounding the eclipse card, represents the whole week can be read, really, the eclipse week, but the day of the eclipse is very significant. Finding your eclipse card is very telling. It foreshadows the following 45 weeks. Okay. After that, then we take the next eclipse and it will foreshadow the next 45 weeks. So what's going to happen to Trump over the next 45 weeks? Well, let's look at September 21st, the solar eclipse. Here it is. Okay, so he has the United States karma card in it. And I circled the Venus card because this whole week is going to tell us about what's going to happen to Trump. He has a sad card. This is a divorce card. It's the grief card. It's the 9 of Hearts in Venus. And it's about letting go. And it's with the 4 of Diamonds. Remember what we said the 4 of Diamonds was? Assassination. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean only assassination. 4 of Diamonds represents so many things like financial stability. It has a countless number of things that it can mean. But isn't it interesting that it's showing up with the card of grief, sorrow, and endings? Often this can be a death card of someone that you love. People die all the time and you might not care, but this is someone that this would be grieved because it is a heart and it represents emotion. Okay, then, yeah, and Helmar showing the cards. Now, if we're going down to look at what's the hardest part of Trump's eclipse week, it's his shadow card. Remember his 9 of Clubs is his decade ruling card governing his career? Well, his career is taken on a shadow aspect. Yeah, so that 9 of Clubs he just showed has one shadow that's connected to it. It's assigned one. We all have one, okay, for our natal cards or external cards. And the 9 of Clubs shadow is the Queen of Hearts. It's very challenging when our shadow cards show up on an eclipse week, which is hard enough as it is. Eclipses, are difficult times. Even the molecules in the air are measurably more inflamed and feisty. People need more rest. Time is compressed. People feel anxious. No one's getting any sleep. It has no legs. Whatever happens during the 2-week window between the lunar and the solar, there's no legs, no foundation. Don't make any big decisions. It's just a float time, and it's very frustrating for a lot of people during those 2 weeks. It's not a time to be social either. It's a time to be inward and do self-care. So we have Saturn, which is the most afflicted planet during anyone's week, where we learn our biggest lessons, and he has his shadow card. And then we look at in Uranus and Neptune, and look what's there. United States. It's there. So he's got, and these aren't always favorable. And Helmar's got the Jack of Diamonds up. This is representing the United States, born on July 4th, 1776. And it's in Trump's cards of the eclipse week, no doubt. Of course, he's thinking about it. So what do we surmise? Well, we look underneath for more information. The 5 of Spades is underneath the card of the United States in Trump's astral body. In his chart here, that means massive changes, a chance to rewrite destiny. It's like cuspal, right at the edge of a cliff before we get to something that's faded and fixed. So it's very, very unstable, and lots of changes are happening to our country, even possibly land changes, because it's in Uranus, which governs property and the earth, and Neptune governs the ocean and water. So earth and water can change radically in our country during this time frame between July 4th, 2025 and July 4th, 2026. Okay. Now, we're going to look a little more closely at the moon of Donald Trump. This is the moon I've circled. Moon represents the divine mother, the emotional body, the emotional mind. And it is Trump, his own self, which is actually the global death card, birth card, card of transformation, card of secrets. It has all these meanings. It's literally the card of the mysteries between life and death. So he has his own card in the moon, which could represent himself as well as transformation, death, all these things. And it's in the black hole, the 9-6. That's not good. It's going to be a very, very hard week for him and a very hard 45 weeks following because of this affliction. Now I put the arrow on the 6 of Spades, which is the United States internal chart. So that's in the higher octave of Saturn. It's even worse. So here's the glyph for Saturn with the plus. It's the cosmic lesson, which is just one up from Saturn, even more challenging. It's a very tough week for him, and he's got his shadow card in the moon. I didn't circle that, but emotionally not doing well. Okay, this is hard, very hard for an 80-year-old man to go through an eclipse week like this, being the president of the country. It looks extremely unfavorable, and my heart goes out to him. Okay, now, and it would go out to any human. I'm not voting for him. I'm not saying he's a great president. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm speaking in terms of humanology. He's a human, and I care about all humans, whether they're good, bad, ugly, fat, doesn't matter. Okay, so I am showing you that it's a very big possibility that he may become either impeached or assassinated, unfortunately, before, well, within the next 45 weeks, starting on the eclipse. And even that week of the eclipse, it could even happen then. So that's, and I also looked at the Vedic astrology, and it's all the degrees of his planets are matching all the degrees of the eclipse, because every eclipse has a degree. And when they match, they bridge. And it's like a beeline to your chart and that planet and that specific field of living. So I could do a whole report on the Vedic astrology and how it lines up. So this isn't favorable for Trump, and it's really not favorable for our country. It's a time of holding on to your hat, hang on and go for the ride, but stay in the eye of the storm. Do not fear, because fear gets you nowhere, and it just feeds the dark forces anyways. That's their food. So do not fear. Just keep focusing on what you want to see. How do you want your country to look? How do we want the world to be at peace? Focus on that, and not on focusing on all of the afflictions and things that he's doing, and negativity and criticism. Instead, go within and stay focused on what can you do to make this world a better place. And then that raises the vibration, each of us, and then we can then find another leader, or maybe Trump will actually follow suit and rise up with everyone else. If we all rise up, we all have to do this together and rise up. So that is how I feel about what's going to happen on the eclipse. This is called an eclipse reading. So I'm looking at Pluto for the eclipse week. The Pluto card for anybody, any week and any year and any time, is what transforms us. And in the eclipse week for Donald Trump, this solar eclipse coming up in September, he has the 2 of clubs, which is literally the card of the fight, the war. It can be the card of conversation and friendly debate, but when it goes to Pluto, it takes on an edge. It takes on a lot of friction and tension. And then to just add more to the fire, it's sitting in the blue hole, the 6-2, which is the United States, right? It's also the blue hole of drugs and delusion. And so he is going to go through a lot. He's going to be probably attacked verbally. He's probably going to be constantly on edge defending himself. He's probably going to be offensive and defensive, and as well, there could be some new war that happens, some new, I hate to say that, but this is the card of war, and it goes to Pluto, which is the planet of higher octave of Mars of war. So not so good. And the 9 of diamonds is right above it in Pluto, in his natal 3 of diamonds self. You see the 9 of diamonds is the end of money, the end of values. It's some sort of big ending for him. And underneath it's the king of diamonds. The king of diamonds is one of the most wealthy cards in the deck, but it also belongs to the trine of deception within the earth template, meaning there may be something fishy going on with the way the diamonds are ending. Maybe the transition between the money is, I can't say that Trump is the one that's causing it to be fishy or nefarious. It maybe someone else is. This is his perception. And when we look at this in unity consciousness, we can't say that he's the one causing the 2 of clubs war. it could be that he's perceiving that suddenly there's a war and he is working on dealing with that. Okay. But we just know that that is the thought and the feeling that he'll be experiencing during the week of the eclipse, the Two of Clubs, warlike card, and then End of Diamonds. Maybe it's about currency and some sort of ending of, I'm just guessing, the dollar bill, and who knows? There's so many possible narratives here, but when I give you the gist of it, this gives you a starting point for you to develop your own cognitions and ideas about what could happen. I'm here to be the messenger of light in a way where I illuminate the possibilities in a larger way, like in the macrocosm, and then you can take it into the microcosm, into your own narrative and make your own predictions. But this is a great starting point. So you can start to understand the foundation of what's going on in Trump's astral body, in his mind, in his own perceptions. I'm reading his thoughts and feelings here. That's what I do when we open anyone's chart. And that's why I said that we open the United States chart. We're actually perceiving. So basically, I'm just saying that this is not looking good for Donald Trump. And I don't know what else to say, except if people around the country want to pray for his protection, that would be wonderful. And if you hate him, then, I can't, I'm not here to change your mind in any way. You can go down that vector. You have all permission in the world to feel how you feel about him. I'm just giving you how he is feeling. I'm the one that's, the messenger. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm giving you, this is him. He feels this way. And this is what his experience is going to be. And from here, you can take it and make your own story. Do you have any questions, Helmar?
No, I was just sort of thinking about our initial conversation, like sort of let's keep it to 7-10 minutes each. And I think it was
Sometimes I can't help myself. I need you to get, really
no,
in there and say, stop now.
no, it's like I just hope that sort of we find enough people that we probably find the right people who've got the capacity for this, because I mean you are going so deep that sort of the average Joe Soap who's got no idea about astrology and or cardology, neither of the systems, is they can't follow. So I just hope we find the right people who get what the very important information that you've conveyed here for us. I just want to bring in quickly. This is Donald Trump's spread this year. So he is with the Three of Diamonds birth card. He's got a Five of Spades in Mercury, a Nine of Clubs in Venus, a Queen of Hearts in Mars, an Eight of Hearts in Jupiter, an Eight of Spades in Saturn, another Eight of Clubs, which is a fixed card, in Uranus, a Ten of Diamonds in Neptune, and a Two of Clubs in Pluto. The one thing that sort of is immediately obvious is that he has that Nine of Clubs, which is his underlying card. Is that right? For his Three of Diamonds. No, he's actually displacing. Where does the Nine of Clubs come in? Karen, help me quickly. Decoded, there's a Decoded card. So he's got this as a Venus card, and Karen was saying so much about the Venus card. But then what really strikes here is his erratic mind, saying one thing to one person and saying another thing to another person. That is the Five of Spades in Mercury, and that's my interpretation. But what's also interesting, he's got 3 eights in a row: Eight of Hearts, Eight of Spades, Eight of Clubs. In Jupiter, in Saturn, and in Uranus. And the Eight of Spades in Saturn is interesting. He's not in that period yet. But Saturn loves even cards, and there it gets a very strong even card. So all the negative influences that Saturn could possibly bring in this year are being offset by that Eight of Spades, because it's that the order and the structure that Saturn loves and that we need is being shown through that Eight of Spades here. Also interesting is that Two of Diamonds in Pluto, because that's his transformation, and that's the wheeler dealer card. That's the card that is out for value deals with the diamonds, one-on-one with the two. So it's like a interaction to create some kind of deal, and that perfectly reflects what he's been doing this year, and where he's like bragging about bringing all those wars to an end, because that is two of diamonds. So he's basically fully stepping into that energy, and that in that Pluto energy, about death, transformation, and ego. And so well done, Donald, I must say. But those 3 eights in a row in Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus give him a very, very strong streak. But he's got to make sure that his mind is not going all over the show. And that he's saying one thing to one person, another thing to another person, one day this, another day this, that. And certainly sort of with the channels that I'm frequenting, it's perceived that way. And with his decadent ruling card in Venus, also interesting. Here, the Queen of Hearts in Mars. I mean, that's it's not the peacemaker's card, but it's the loving mother card. It's a court card, so it's a different energy to the pips cards. And with Mars being about sort of dynamism, aggression, war, there's the mother that's coming in and to bring love, to bring peace to people. So that would be my sort of very short and very rough analysis of Donald Trump. And if we look at this, I mean, he sits in the Mercury column of the Mars line. So he's got 6 cards on the Mars line. So it's a very dynamic year, very changeable year, which is also signified by the 5 of Spades and Mercury. In terms of communication, a lot going on, a lot of changes going on. But sort of with those changes always comes that risk of being all over the place, scattering the energies, and being perceived as erratic. But then again, those 3 eights here give him a lot of strength, a lot of support, because the eights are power cards. So he's got the opportunity to make value-based deals. And then basically, so if we look, one, it's not highlighted here, but the Mars is hovering over the Jack of Spades. That would be his result card this year. So the Jack of Spades is spiritual initiation. So there could be a lot of good coming out of it, because that is a court card, the Jack, and the Spades is the last suit. And the Jack of Spades is a very creative card. So those two in conjunction, the Jack of Spades and that 2 of Diamonds, could mean and signify a lot of changes, a lot of deals that are going on in the world, and that are changing things to the better. But with the Jack of Spades, it's a results card, but the Jack of Spades is still the trickster. And the Jack of Spades doesn't want to take responsibility. And remember, United States is also Jack energy. So even though it's the result of a successful transformation, one still has to be careful with that Jack of Spades. But once again, very strong cards here with those eights, and interesting card here, especially with the 2 of Diamonds in Pluto and the 5 of Spades in Mercury. Yeah, there we go. So this is just.
That was really well done. Thank you. That was interesting.
Just
Thank
the way
you.
that I perceive it. I don't see, obviously, they don't see death. Only then that sort of the death card is not the 9 of clubs, not necessarily the death card, but sort of with that 9 in Venus, it's about communication, it's about endings, and Venus being about relationships with other people. So something's come to an end. Maybe sort of he steps out of something. Maybe he learns through his interaction now with Vladimir Putin and other leaders that there needs to be a different way to communicate. You can't just force it. You can't just throw tariffs at other countries. You have to bond. You have to compromise. Even though, so it's interesting, there's no 6s in his spread. Certainly not for the 3 of Diamonds in this year. And the 3 of Diamonds is displacing a 6 of Hearts. Is that right? Yep.
No, the 3 of Diamonds displaces the King of Hearts.
Now, in the Earth template, the 3 of Diamonds is displacing the 6 of Hearts. And the king of
you
what? The King of Hearts. No, the 6 of Hearts and Yeah,
The King of
this
Hearts
year, this year,
through.
yes, the King of
Yeah,
Hearts, and he gets
this year,
and he
he's
gets support
displacing the King of
from the
Hearts.
Six of Diamonds. If we just sort of like rotate this into view again, because there we have it. Zoom in a little, and
So that assassination that I predicted may just be an attempt. Doesn't necessarily mean that anyone is successful
if
killing him. It may
if we
just be
look
an
at it, the
attempt.
Three of Diamonds in his lifelong first karma card is the Six of Hearts. It's because the Three of Diamonds displaces that Six of Hearts in Uranus on the Mercury line, and he gets support from that Queen of Diamonds. And this year he gets support from the Six of Diamonds, which is about financial responsibility and financial karma. So, and he needs to pay the bills. I guess this is why he's doing what he's doing, particularly this year. And the King of Hearts is like the loving father card, and that's difficult. That's his challenge this year, because the King of Hearts wants to do good for the country, for the kids, so to say, because he's the head of the kids. He's the head of the family, being president of the United States. But he has to be cognizant because other people have different ideas, different values. So he has to also consider that the others and not just its own family. Make America great again is fine, but it's only fine when America is an island. But in this globalized world, there is no such thing as an island, and that means that. Let me just go back here. That means that you can't just isolate yourself. Yes, you have to put yourself first in a way, but you might have to consider that other countries are also putting themselves and their interests first. And I think right now, as we speak here, him meeting Vladimir Putin, he will understand that other people have other people's interests at heart, and the Russian president certainly has the interests of the people of the Russian Federation at heart, and he needs to learn to compromise on that. Sort of King of Hearts first karma card this year. Would have been interesting to do it with Vladimir Putin. He's a Two of Diamonds, actually. He's 7th of October. So
Yeah, that's a very
that's
interesting connection they
yeah,
have. The sun moon, the Three of Diamonds
yeah.
and the Two of Diamonds side by side. They might actually really like each other, in the beginning. It's definitely a connection that means they've been together before in other lifetimes. So they know each other. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up, working together because of the sun moon connection, like seeing eye to
It's
eye
going to be
about
very interesting. I mean, tomorrow we'll know more.
it. Sun moon meaning that they're side, like Two of Diamonds, Three of Diamonds, Four of Diamonds, five. When something like that is consecutive side by side, that gives
Yes.
compatibility.
Yeah.
A sun moon. We call it a sun moon, which it ups the ante in compatibility. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It actually increases the intensity, where it can be intensely wonderful or intensely not so wonderful. Never just
There we
flatline.
go. I think that's a lovely ending to our session today, and for you this afternoon, for me this evening. Certainly very, very interesting days ahead. And if you followed this far, and you have because you're listening to this now, you will have gotten a much better and much deeper understanding of the interaction and the energy flow between countries and individuals. And here exemplified by using the United States and the 47th President, Donald Trump, as an example, how the energies look in general for the country and for him as a person, but also the energies at this particular point in time. And this is, no one's got a looking glass or the crystal ball and can pinpoint to exactly what is happening, because we are living in a universe of probabilities. Some things are more probable than others, but it doesn't mean that something is exactly happening on that day. We only know that post factum and not pre factum. And I just want to say thank you once again to Karen for this amazing insight and all the connections, all the lines that you've drawn and the things that you've circled and the insight that you have provided. Really appreciate it. And yes, thank you very much for watching this far. The session is titled "You Don't Have the Cards." That was a reference to when Donald Trump was receiving the past president of the Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, and making him clear that he is killing his own people and that he should be interested in creating peace in Ukraine. And he told him, you don't have the cards, which means you don't have the power. I was actually thinking about this earlier on, sort of that if you don't have the cards, you don't have the power, and you don't have the power to play out what it needs to be played out in order to win. So that is he made maybe Donald Trump made that statement sort of flippantly, but if you think about it, he basically told Mr. Zelensky, you don't have the power anymore. The thing is out of your hands, and this is the proof for this is in exactly the meeting that is taking place on this day, the 15th of August, 2025, because in Anchorage, Alaska, it's Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump meeting, and Mr. Zelensky is nowhere to be seen. And that tells you all you need to know about who's got the power, who's negotiating, and all the others are basically not at the table, they are on the menu. And Europe isn't there. The expired president of Ukraine isn't there. It's just a matter between Russia and the United States. And that's where the power is, and they've got the cards. Karen, final word?
Yeah. No, nothing that I can think of. You did a great job. And yeah, it was fun to share this. And
yeah.
And remember, all reading predictions are about 80% accurate. And why is that? Well, because we all jump timelines. We aren't always in the same density. Sometimes we go up a little bit, and things can change. So I've learned how to jump the timelines and where people are. So I read the current timeline. Things can change with our consciousness. When we change our consciousness, when we think differently, we change our thoughts, we change our reality, then we can go up a little bit. So what I did today with that reading was read this current timeline.
Thank you so much. And as always, thank you sort of watching this. Leave a comment if you agree, if you don't agree, if you have additional things to add. Always looking forward to interacting with you. And hopefully growing the family of cardology a little more, because it's been like sort of not the black sheep, but sort of the little sister of astrology, numerology, even human design and gene keys. And you can see what the cards actually reveal. And once again, and last sentence from me, it's not about the cards, it's about the energy that they symbolize. The cards are symbolizing something, but it's the energy that is behind that card that gives the actual meaning to the card. And that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're interpreting. And we'll see post factum how much of that will have come true. We're talking about, Karen was talking about the eclipse in September, so there's still a couple of weeks off, but certainly very, very interesting and very, very challenging times ahead for many. And hopefully sort of coming out of it with a better value system, with more peace, with more understanding, with more cooperation, compromise, and Queen of Hearts energy in Mars. I think that's a nice task for the Queen of Hearts in Mars to fulfill. And that is it for today. Thank you very much, and see you with the next one. And bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.